right, good morning, everybody. I think, Halima and Piper, we should go ahead and get started.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to April Community Conversations, where the topic will be high quality after school programming. If you are new or just joining, we do have Spanish translation. The way to get into the Spanish video or the audio is to click on the little globe on your bottom left corner and change the original audio to Spanish. And if you want to adjust your volume where you can hear the interpreter more or the English version more, there's also a way to do that. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. All lines will be muted. All questions for the presenters must be sent to the Q&A box. There is no live chat option. And this presentation is being recorded and will be shared afterwards and also available on the website.
And I think that's over to me.
Yes, Nora, all yours.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Community Conversations. My name is Nora Yates. I'm the Deputy Commissioner here in the Division of Child Care Services at the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. I want to thank NYSTEC, our team at NYSTEC, who is helping with the webinar today, and also Andres, our Spanish interpreter, who is doing live interpretation. So I just want to remind everyone who speaks today on this session to make sure that you are not rushing, because that way Andres can do the live interpretation. So our agenda today, we do have a guest speaker from the Network for Youth Success. So thank you, Tim Fowler, for joining on high quality after school. We're going to go over some questions we received since the last session, and then also some ever important news you can use because there's always so much going on. When you're ready, you can go to the next slide. And we just wanted to see who is here in the room. So if you feel like playing along, you can use your phone to go to the Slido and just to check in and see who is here in the room. If you are a daycare center director or a family child care or group family, a legally exempt provider or a school-age child care provider, totally optional. We just wanted to get a sense of the 175 people joining us this morning. Excuse me, 177 people joining us this morning who are our early birds deciding to sign on. So looks like a lot of center and school age folks, a group family, and others. Curious, always curious who the others are. Someday we'll ask that question. Who are the others? Thank you to the 56 or so folks playing along. Looks like daycare center director or teachers or assistant teachers, school age providers, and then others in group family. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. Fantastic. Can you scroll down a little bit? I'm not sure who's running the screen. Oh, Halima, you're running the screen. There we go. I just wanted to see if there was any LE or family child care, since we have so many categories. They're like tucked below the thing. Fantastic. And it's not asked on here, but if you are a LEAPS grantee, the new OCFS after-school program that was granted late last year, and they're in their first year, welcome to our LEAPS grantees. Very excited to have you here and grateful for your partnership in high-quality after-school. All right, so let's go on to the next one. So who is, I think the next part is, where are you? Very curious, out of the 199, we're almost at 200. Where are you? And they're all 7 regions are on there. It, again, is not a competition. People get very geographically competitive when it comes to where are you. So I just want to see where in the state you are. You know, Albany, Buffalo, Long Island, our colleagues in New York City, Syracuse, Rochester, Westchester. We did include the counties in case you're not sure of what county region you're in. Fantastic. Looks like we got folks from all over. I think we have every county represented. Fascinating. Or every region represented, probably not every county. Fantastic. And so if you just joined and you want to play along, we're just doing a quick check-in to see who's here in the room. You know, what modality, what region. You can scan the QR code on the side and it comes up on your phone, and just be able to push that button. Looks like Albany and New York City are tied for attendees. Welcome, welcome. Westchester not far behind. Great. We can go to the next one when you're ready. This is totally voluntary. You don't have to play along if you're holding your coffee. All right, so we are going to talk about high quality after school today. And so we wanted to include a question on program quality. So where do you think, for you, where do you think the best place to start when you're working on improving program quality? Is it depending on the needs of the children? Is it building strong relationships with those children and their families? Is it offering hands-on activity on skills and knowledge? Or is it any of the above? Any and all of the above. And as I expected, it is any and all of the above. I thought many of us would choose that answer. But definitely strong relationships is a second there, far second, but second. Because we recognize how important those relationships are, but all of those things are important for building quality and improving quality in childcare and early childhood program. Wow, we are up to 213 attendees. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for playing along. That was totally optional. We can go back to the slides, that's fine. Great. So good morning, and just a reminder about these calls. These are bi-monthly community conversations webinars. We do have live interpretation in Spanish. If you do have questions in between the calls, you can email them to the email address on the slide with the subject line community conversations. We do record these calls and post them online and then send them out, both English and Spanish. So if you have colleagues who weren't able to join us this morning, please feel free to point them to our website, and all of those are posted. Give us a couple days to, save the file and clean up the slide deck, but it will be posted and we'll send that out.
Nora, I just wanted to jump in quickly for Jim. I believe he's going to have to go on to the webinar as a panelist, just so that he can access the full features in order to present. I think we may have a little bit of an issue unmuting him by phone number through the attendees.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. I think I'm just going to cover those, Sarah. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Great. So we did get a couple questions that we wanted to go over. Granted, these questions were very short, so they lack probably a lot of context. So if you have more questions and need more discussion, your regulator is always available. The regional office is always helpful. Your CCR&R is always very helpful, or your CCRCs. So the first question we got was, if I have a group family program, can I also run an after-school program? So that is a nuanced answer because depending on what you mean. Group family programs can be licensed for up to 4 school-age children. So there can be school-age children at a group family program. But if you're asking if you could have 2 programs, if you could have a school-age childcare license at the same site as your group family, that's a no. But then separately, if you're asking about a separate site, that's a different answer. So I think this is a great example of a licensing question around that your regulator or your regional office could help with. So I read the question if both a school-age childcare program and a group family could be at the same site. That one's a no. But depending on what you mean, you can get on your group family, you can serve school-age children, and you can talk to your regulator about that. The second question was, are there other grant programs like LEAP that can support quality programs? So OCFS had several grant programs over the last couple of years, which we were grateful to be able to administer and grateful to be able to support childcare providers. The current LEAPS program, which is for after-school programs, was a highly competitive grant program. Over 400 applications came in. There was a grant, we're only to about 128 or 130 programs. So highly competitive program. And right now, the one that was in the governor's proposal, or the governor's state of state, which we can talk about shortly, is around capital. There'll be a capital award and a capital program later this year. So that does improve quality, both there's funding for centers and school age programs, as well as repair and renovation and family child care. So it's not specific to programming, but it does support quality in terms of improving facilities and facility improvements. All right. So with that, let's get to the exciting things. And our guest speaker, Tim Fowler, is from the New York State Network for Youth Success. And Tim, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Timothy Fowler, Professional Development Coordinator for the New York State Network for Youth Success. Today, my topic is high-quality after-school programs. I will talk about the Network for Youth Success and a little bit about the work we do. I'll also review why quality is important. I'll share the keys to school-age care, and I'll share some quality resources from our school-age childcare credential and our quality self-assessment tool. Then we'll make some time for questions, and I'll share my contact information in case anybody wants to find out more. The New York State Network for Youth Success exists to strengthen the capacity and commitment of communities, programs, and professionals to increase access to high-quality programs and services beyond the traditional classroom. Our website is listed here in case you want to browse some of the resources that we have. The network, or NiceNice, is the state affiliate of the National After-School Association. We're one of 50 state after-school networks of the Mott Foundation and also partner with the After School Alliance. We're the backbone agency for the New York State Community Schools Network and the state lead for the National Girls Collaborative Project, which is a national organization dedicated to increasing STEAM opportunities for young people. So why is quality important? Research into youth programs shows that a bad program is worse for youth than no program, meaning that if young people were left alone, they would likely do things that support their skills and growth. A bad program actually inhibits their ability to grow. Quality is absolutely important to create positive outcomes for youth. At least a good program, but ideally a great program, is what is needed if we really want to help young people succeed now and in the future. In short, the keys to school-age care include three main things. First, providing a welcoming, safe space that is free of hazards. Second, providing opportunities that are hands-on and minds-on for children to engage in and build skills. Third, having adults that provide strong, positive relationships with youth and support the opportunities to grow. If these things are provided, it doesn't matter what the activities are or where the program is set, young people will be receiving the support they need and the opportunities to grow in a space where they feel safe and connected and can grow. That's basically it. Providing those things is really what we're talking about. And you'll notice that these things really allow a lot of room for creativity and for different types of activities in different settings. The network has two resources that I want to feature today that allow programs to explore high quality and reach high quality standards. The first is our Quality Self-Assessment, or QSA tool, and the second is our School Age Care Credential, which is focused on the individual professional. The QSA does include elements of professional conduct, but also addresses the program site and the organization, while the site credential gives a lot more guidance on what an individual should say and do to support quality. The Quality Self-Assessment tool is free and available for download at our website, networkforyouthsuccess.org/QSA. This is a tool that all of the state's 21st Century Community Learning Center grantees are required to use. The third edition has been streamlined to remove duplication. It includes a glossary of terms and also has a new STEM element that programs can choose to use if they're doing science, technology, engineering, and math programming. The QSA tool covers 11 essential elements for quality. These elements are environment and climate, administration and organization, relationships, staffing and professional development, programming and activities, linkages between day and after school, youth participation and engagement, parent and family community partnerships, program sustainability and growth, measuring outcomes and evaluation, and then the supplemental element, informal STEM learning. I want to take a closer look at two of the elements I mentioned earlier, relationships and the activities that are keys to school-age care. So we'll take a look at what we're talking about with those two elements in particular. These are the first 8 indicators under the element 3, relationships. You'll notice that some of the elements have a star at the beginning. That indicates that this is an element that should be addressed before the program opens. These are based on regulatory standards in New York State. They're also meant for programs that are starting but haven't begun serving youth so that they can focus on critical foundation elements rather than try to do the entire tool at once. There is an addendum at the back that collects all of the STAR items as a startup tool. As you're reading these, I want to point out indicator 1, which says staff that respect and communicate with one another and are role models of positive adult relationships. So this language is meant to help people understand that this is a mark of quality, but also give them enough room to customize what that means and what it looks like based on the mission of the organization or the strengths of the staff or the needs of the youth. Number 3, for example, says treats participants with respect, listens to what they say, and has structures in place to encourage participant and adult relationships. Demonstrating respect and being an active listener are things that we should be doing with each other as adults, but also with young people so that we're building those strong, positive, trusting relationships. I also want to point out that indicators 5, 5 and 8 address what we would call diversity or equity or inclusion issues. This is a key part of relationship as well, to be able to welcome every young person, no matter who they are, what identities they carry, or what their backgrounds are, and to be able not only to appreciate them, but celebrate them for all those identities. This shows the first 9 indicators for element 5, programming and activities. Now we're leaving the relationships behind and focusing on what young people are doing in the program. You'll see that there are some starred items here as well. Indicator 5, which is not starred, says regularly solicit feedback from participants to determine enrichment offerings, meaning this should be a child-centered and youth-centered curriculum. What are the young people interested in? How can we build that into what we're offering? That's a key part of a quality program. Indicator 8 reads integrating opportunities for responsible decision-making and the development of social and emotional skills. These indicators are diving deeper into what makes an activity high quality without dictating the exact activity or curriculum. Whether I'm offering tutoring, I'm offering engineering design, we're doing automotive shop, or we're doing academic enrichment, I want to make sure that these indicators are a part of that activity. This element is focused on how we're delivering that activity and how does it directly benefit youth. The indicators in this element are meant to help us make sure that there's real value in whatever opportunities young people have.
Hey, Tim, it's Nora. I'm just going to jump in and let you know we've had a couple questions in the chat. One question was if we could leave the slides up a bit longer. And so I know folks are taking pictures, and also there was a question about downloading. So just to remind folks, we send all these slides out at the end. You'll get a copy of them. You're more than welcome to take pictures and notes if you want to, but we will send these out. The other thing is, if you hear pauses, and Tim's doing a great job, we are doing live interpretation, and so Andres is doing live interpretation. And so I just wanted to remind folks of that as they're going through. So Tim, sorry. Back to the scheduled programming.
I have another slide at the end with the links listed so people, you can go to our website right now, networkforyouthsuccess.org, and find under quality, you'll find our QSA tool, and under professional development, you'll find our SAC credential. So all of the resources that I'm sharing are right there available right now. And so I will be sharing that, and I appreciate that. Thank you. The school age, now let's look at the school age care credential. This is another free tool that we have available on our website. The school age care credential promotes quality services. It provides standards, training, and evaluation for individuals within a school age care program, as well as providing professional recognition for demonstrating competence in their on-the-job skills. Unlike the QSA tool, the school age care credential standards are focused on the individual practitioner. Now we're going to be looking at what an exemplary youth worker does in a school age setting. Why do people pursue the school age care credential? It offers individuals the opportunities to evaluate their own work. It's an opportunity to get feedback and support from an instructor, advisor, and an endorser. It's a chance to improve their skills and a chance to earn a professional credential that is recognized throughout New York State. Within New York State, owners of the school age care credential are able to be the director of record for a regulated OCFS site. So the fact that it travels means people who have spent the time investing in themselves and earning the credential can take that certification with them to other jobs around the state. This is a way that we hope to keep people in our field and giving people some job security while also recognizing their knowledge. There are 14 skill areas in the school age care credential. Those areas are professionalism, child development, safety, health, self, guidance, out of school environments, creative, physical, cognitive, communications, social, families, and operational maintenance. Areas 5 through 12 are really about youth. For example, self is about helping the young person understand who they are. And number 9, physical, is about the physical development and physical health for young people. The other areas are more focused on the professional's knowledge and ability behind the scenes. So when I say, I'm going off script, Andreas. So if I say that areas 5 through 12 are really about youth, what I mean is it's focused on how does the professional support the youth's development in those areas? What am I doing to encourage and support all of those different types of learning, if that makes sense? The keys to school age care are providing a welcoming space for the age group that is free of hazards, creating opportunities for hands-on and minds-on experiences for children that engage them in building skills, and adults who are providing strong positive relationships. As you can see from our brief look at these standards, both from the QSA and the school age child care credential, they give people language to focus on so that they can set higher standards for themselves and reach them, but still allow them to customize the programming to the needs of the child, the family, the organization, and the community. And that leads us to the question portion of our presentation.
Great. I mentioned a couple questions, but if others have questions and you want to put them in the Q&A, Please feel free to type those in about any of the resources that Tim mentioned, or about the network, or even examples of high quality after school programs. Ooh, good question. How long does it take? Got some questions now, Tim. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see. How long does the SAC credential take to complete, and what is the cost?
It varies. So typically the credential is done so that it's a course, it's a development of a portfolio. There is an advisor who visits the candidate multiple times, and there's also an endorsement. So a third party comes in to visit. So I'm at our credential website right now because these are very detailed questions. So I'm just looking to see if I can find the cost. Typically, it's a 2-semester course. So candidates will typically start in September and do course 1 through December, or course 2 through December. And then in the spring, do the other half of the course. So approximately January through April. Credential visits can be done by the end of the school year if they're ready to go by May 1st. So by the end of a single school year, a candidate can go from start to being credentialed. So that's about 9 months. It can take longer depending on if the person had issues with documentation or some other things. But all of the coursework is supported by the EIP program from PDP. So the Educational Incentive Program at SUNY Albany can pay for both courses and the endorsement visit, and the advisor, if they are a credentialed coach in New York State, can also be covered with EIP dollars. So I'm still looking for the cost, but if you wanted to ask me the next question, you can.
Sure. The next question, and I'm not sure exactly what it's covering, but it says, how do you start the SAC process? They say SAC and not SACC. So if it's asking about licensing, if you are asking about licensing, Cheryl, then I would talk to your regulator or your regional office, and they can get you started, or your Child Care Resource Center resource or referral. Great questions about licensing. Tim, if they're looking at some of these high quality, how do they get started on this process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm still looking for the SAC manual information, so I may have to pause and do that. When you visit our website, we do have a page for startup programs. So under quality and sustainability, which is one of our menu items across the top, there is a start a program option, and that will lead you to the OCFS website. I believe there's information here on Department of Health information if you're doing a summer program, but it also goes through some general resources to think about when you're starting a program, not only quality, but also sustainability. The QSA tool, which again is a free download, has a section in the back of the book that lists some quality indicators that you should work on before the program opens. So those starred items that I referenced before. And that's to help people who are starting a new program think about all of the things that they have in place to start off right. So absolutely, OCFS regulations, find out where you fit, get in touch with your regulator, but we do have some resources on the website to help you figure out those other pieces as well. I hope that helps.
Got it. Yeah. And I think the question was specific to the credential. Like, how do you start on the credential if you're a person interested in getting that credential, which I think you did cover, but do you want to cover one more time?
Sure. So the credential website has all the information that you need. It has a copy of the manual. The first thing you'll want to do is look at the manual, which is where I was digging around just a second ago. So there is general information under SAC credential. It also tells you how to find a class in your area. We have both live in-person classes for the SAC credential led by host agencies around the state, as well as virtual live and distance learning. So there's several different ways for people. So even if you're not in a major metropolitan area or highly populated county, we still have ways that you can participate in a class. So all of the information is on our website, and that would probably be the best first step is to find a class. But you can also look at the manual and see what it entails, and you can always give us a call or an email, and I will share that information on one of my later slides before we go. Great question.
Couple more questions. This is a wonderful question. I feel like somebody wrote it for you. I operate an after-school program in Brooklyn, and I'm wondering if there is a coalition of after-school program directors or owners with a mission of peer support, shared training, networking, etc.
Yeah. So New York City has two local intermediaries, Expand Ed and PACE, the Partnership for After-School Education. The Network for Youth Success, nice, also has regional networks around the state. So Long Island for Suffolk and Nassau counties has a network that's reinvigorating, and they're connected with their local child care referral agency. So in Brooklyn, depending on the kind of programming you're doing, there's a very active New York City STEM education network, which is providers and other like cultural institutions like the American History Museum, science centers, but also funders and professionals, people like Google or Facebook, who come together to talk shop. How are we doing STEM with young people? What's going on? So there's several opportunities. We do encourage regional networks. There was a regional network that was co-led by our partners at PACE. I don't know directly about their information, like when they're meeting next. But that description is, having that local in-person, being able to come together to share ideas and just for mutual support is very much a part of what we do. So New York City is a little trickier because we really defer to our partners there and their guidance and leadership in the city. But there are resources like that. So if you email me, it's timothy@networkforyouthsuccess.org, and I'll share that in a later slide. We can try to get you connected.
Great. A couple more questions / statements. There's a question about whether group family daycare programs can have more after-school programs, and unfortunately we are not changing the licensing standards because there are restrictions in statute that we can't do that. So we hear you, and we love that you want to care for more school-age programs, but unfortunately that can't be changed right now unless that's a much bigger process. So unfortunately that's not changing right now. There's a question about licensing. If we are a licensed daycare / preschool and looking into adding an after-school program, what would licensing look like for this? So I would talk to your licensor or your regulator first. There's a couple different paths depending on 25,000 different factors like zoning and your space and all of that. So, but the first step would be your regulator, and they would be able to assess your program and your program situation and your community, and depending on the right path, you guys could work together on what steps to take. But we're very excited you're interested in that, so please definitely talk to your regional office. We talked about the credentials a couple times, so that's great. And then one last question, Tim, was let's see, currently in New York State, 3K kids are housed in public schools. There's no licensing process for including those children in on-site after school. So the 3K question, yep. So that is, like I said, those are kind of statutory or required frameworks for 4K and 3K. And at this point, we can't change those. We continue to look at them and continue to talk about what flexibility and, we have in state law, but right now we don't have the ability to change those. I'm a retiring teacher who's planning to do after school in my home for school age. What would that fall under? So that would still be a home-based program. And so depending on what type of modality you're looking to do, you can talk to your regional office if you haven't opened a program yet. There's an orientation video on our website that can talk you through some of those modalities. So you can take the video or you can call the OCFS regional office. You can also talk to your Child Care Resource and Referral or Child Care Resource Center. They're all great resources about different types of programs or different options. At what age is a child considered after school in a group family daycare? That is school age. So that depends, but I think it's 5. And then, do we need a summer camp license? That, my friend, is a very, very big question. So summer camps are more complicated. We are not doing camps today on this call, but we do OCFS regulated programs. We do not regulate summer camps, and so whether or not you need a summer camp license is really up to what kind of program you're operating, and I'll leave it there because that is a much more complicated answer.
I have an answer to the cost for the credential from earlier. Can I share that?
Yes, please do.
So I'm going to share with you the cost for working directly with us, with NiceNice. Every host agency charges slightly different costs based on what part of the state they're in. Some parts of the state are more expensive than others, as you may know. So per semester, NiceNice charges $1,250 for the virtual course. That's a 1-semester course. And $1,125 for the distance learning course. That's the asynchronous, not live virtual course. Both of those are EIP eligible. So we have many people who attend both through the host agencies and through the virtual options using EIP scholarship dollars. So I hope that helps.
It does. Last question, I promised him. But it's a great question. So are there any annual conferences specific to school age staff or STEM or leadership trainings from the Network for Youth Success outside of the SAC credential?
Yeah. So that was 3 things, right? So our annual conference is actually this week. As soon as I finish, I have to run and help take things to the hotel. So our annual conference is every spring. This year it is in Albany. Registration unfortunately closed last week. We also have regional networks throughout the state, and regional networks host local meetups for professional development. So for example, in the Southern Tier last year, they hosted a legislative breakfast where they invited elected officials to talk about issues related to youth programming. They also hosted a social emotional learning day. They hosted another day that was sort of a mini conference with 4 workshops, and we support those regional networks in doing those efforts. So we encourage those kinds of local meetups. Leadership was another issue that you mentioned. So in the fall, we'll be offering an institute called the Site Leader Institute. It is a 6-day course, 15 hours total of training credit, and it's related to the skills of a manager. So some of the topics we look at are how do you hold your team accountable to standards and to milestones, whether it's attendance or regulatory standards. How do you have performance conversations with your staff? How do you prepare for those? Time management is a big issue for many site leaders and managers. So, what are the best practices there? How do you coach and help your staff grow on the job in more informal ways? And we also look at the quality improvement process and how, as a leader, you help your entire team through that process. So that Leadership Institute is really focused on what am I supposed to do now that I'm a manager. As you heard, the school age care credential has a lot to do with creating a great curriculum and a great environment for youth. But when it comes to actually doing the job of a manager, which includes reporting, it includes supervising adults, it includes keeping up with paperwork, doing your regular drills and, emergency type things, making sure that all your stuff is in stock. There's a lot of other things. And the Site Leader Institute is meant to help people grapple with all that new stuff. With regards to STEM programming, we do have a STEM coordinator, Abby, who's based in Rochester. She's been leading STEM skills webinars, which are people from around the state talking about what they do. Typically, those are around lunchtime. And I've also got 16 webinars on facilitating STEM. So how do I model engineering practices? How do I help young people reflect and process their experiences so they get the most from it? So we do offer those. Sometimes those are free because of funding from other sources, but all of those that are scheduled are available on our website, and I will share the events page with you as well.
Thank you, Tim. Lots of excitement about all the things that you just said. So let's go to the last couple of slides so people have your information.
Thank you. In closing, I want to encourage you to visit our website. The School Age Care Credential and the Quality Self-Assessment Tool are both free and freely available. Both of those have additional resources related to the tools. For example, the QSA has some webinars about using it, and it also has spreadsheet versions in case you prefer to do your assessment digitally. The School Age Care Credential has information on how to earn your credential, as well as how to be an advisor, how to be an endorser, or how to find a host agency or become a host agency to lead the course. And both of those websites are listed there. So that might be one you want to linger on just to make sure everybody's got their photos. But this was also important. I want to thank you all for your time today and for your questions. Part of my job is providing technical assistance to people in the field. So please feel free to call me if you have questions about implementing standards or about some of the resources. You can email me at timothy@networkforyouthsuccess.org. And that phone number we have a digital app now on our phone. So even if I'm in the field, I can take phone calls. So absolutely leave a voicemail message or call me because answering questions and help people figure out issues is part of my work, and I would love to help you.
Timothy, thank you so much for all your work and the presentation. I think a lot of people are very excited to get to the website. We're excited that people are interested in the credential and the QSA self-assessment. So thank you for all your work. Network for Youth Success is a tremendous organization, so we're really grateful for your partnership.
Thank you. I did add one other link here on the page that I forgot about, the networkforyouthsuccess.org/events. We have several things coming up on the events webpage. I'm doing a personality assessment called True Colors. I'm doing regulatory workshops in May on competent supervision, health and safety, and also managing behaviors. So all of those will be 6:30 to 8:30 in May, and you can find them all on our events page. So I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Timothy. All right, we are going to get through a couple more. I'm minding our time, so we may go very quickly through these last couple slides. So Andres, I apologize in advance if we speak very quickly. The executive budget, which was the governor's budget that was announced in January, included several child care proposals. The governor and the legislature are negotiating the final enacted budget right now. So these are kind of we're going to outline for you the governor's proposals, and then once the budget is final, we will send an email blast with all of the final details. But the governor did include child care construction grants, which I mentioned earlier, $110 million investment, 100 of which is for school-age child care and daycare centers for new or expanding sites. And then 10 million will be dedicated to family child care, repair and renewal. There is a proposal to launch what's called a substitute pool, or a program to create a group of substitutes available to be deployed to child care providers. More information on how that will work will be coming out later this year. I know a lot of people have questions on the substitute pool, so but the proposal here is to create the legal structure to be able to even get it off the ground. The governor also proposed, you can go to the next slide whenever you're ready. The governor also proposed a coalition that would work specifically with unions, tax and revenue experts on a path to universal child care. There is a proposal about working in after-school settings where we can expand mental health care in after-school settings, where we connect existing mental health resources to state-funded after-school programs, so we can expand the number of people who have access to mental health care in a school setting. And then launching the Parent Partnership Project, which really is specific to resources directed to parents, but supporting you all as early childhood professionals in the work that you are constantly doing, working with families and providing the resources and information. So that includes child development work, a early childhood literacy trail, and additional resources. You can go to the next slide whenever you're ready. So hot off the presses, the governor did announce yesterday that there would be additional funding for child care assistance, or the subsidy program. So we included the slide here as showing the trend and incredible growth in child care assistance, and that there would be additional details coming out in a few days once the budget is finalized. So we're grateful for additional resources and grateful for the growth in the program. So I know there are several counties with various states of, opening cases or concerns about opening cases, but more details will be coming soon in the coming days. We can go on to the next slide. We wanted to make you aware of our texting initiative. We recently completed a pilot that explored our ability to send text messages to child care programs. So we piloted that, and grateful for those programs who were able to partner with us on that pilot. It was successful. So the goal here is to expand communication options via text messaging. So now that we will be rolling this out statewide, you can go to the next slide when you're ready. So programs can opt in, so it is not mandatory, it is not required. So if you are interested in participating, you can opt in or give us the information to participate. You will be sent an email that you'll just complete the information needed on a form, and that includes your name, your license number, and then the phone number that you wanted to include in this texting initiative. We know there are lots of different phone numbers and people change their phone numbers, so we are asking for folks to opt in and provide us that phone number. And then once you're opted in, you can also opt out if you're no longer interested in participating. So the goal here is a one-way text message, so there's not going to be back and forth. It's just a way for us to send notifications to child care programs. And that includes, when a new Dear Provider letter has been emailed out, and we want to alert you to it so that you can see it in your email. or if there's a new grant opportunity announced, or in this case, the budget is finalized. So it's just a one-way communication to alert you to exciting information or new information. So we're excited to offer that, and it's completely optional, and you'll be getting an email in the coming weeks. Great. Additional news you can use in our last 2 minutes here. We did recently send out a Dear Provider letter that addressed the recent immigration policies by the federal government. We sent a Dear Provider letter that wanted to make programs, remind programs of what they can expect during an OCFS inspection, and also provide resources on how you can make your program a safe space for children. The letter also included a statement by the governor and the New York Attorney General to private and nonprofit organizations regarding immigration rights and should you be visited by an immigration official. So we just wanted to remind programs about our role and also what to expect during an inspection and how you can make your program a safe space for families. Just reminders about, making sure that you have multiple names on the pickup list, making sure you have current phone numbers for your families, just to make sure that everything, all families are safe and children are, minimize disruptions for any families that if there's an immigration action that happens. All of our Dear Provider letters, you can go to the next slide when you're ready. We do send out a quarterly newsletter, the Division of Child Care Services does. And so all those newsletters go out via email, but they're also posted on our website. And then our Dear Provider letters are also posted on our website. So the links are here, but you do have them in your email address. Those are coming via the POP emails, which are affectionately called. And so the last one came out in March. You'll see one coming out, I believe, in June. We do have ongoing active supervision trainings available. So those are on the PDP website. And we just wanted to remind people these have been wildly successful. Really appreciate the hard work and attendance. So these are virtual trainings. They are available in English and Spanish. You do need to register, and please register if you're actually planning on going, because there is a cap on the number of registrants per training. So we want to make sure as many people can register as possible. So it's a free training. You do receive training credit, and it is available. You can register on our website. All right, it is 9:01 on the nose. I want to thank everybody for coming. Please feel free to send us questions. The next community conversations will be June 24th. Thank you so much to my team, Alana, and everyone who worked hard on getting this webinar off the ground. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.